Oh, hello and welcome. This is Amanda Eloesh and Alex Kugler. I got a wild hair that inspired me to interview
Thank
Alex.
God.
I just had this vision and I knew I had to interview him. I didn't even know about what. And fortunately, Alex is a yes and kind of
That is
person.
accurate.
And he said, Hells yes,
Yeah, let's
hells to the
go.
yes. And when I asked him what he would like to be interviewed about, he said praying with parts. And so I'm going to let you share a little bit about who you are because I know you as a praying man. I know you as somebody who is a big part of the spiritually active Jewish community
Mm-hmm.
and the Red Road community
Mm-hmm.
and probably other sorts of communities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dear brother to me, somebody
Yay.
I adore. And maybe you could tell the folks who are tuning into this about yourself. And
Yeah.
then we'll this obviously, if it's not obvious already, we planned this, but the planning was just here we are
Yeah,
and
let's
let's
go.
go.
That's right. So let's go. My name is Alex Kugler. Sometimes I go by Alexander. In ceremony, I do. Um, and who am I? I love when people ask me how I got on the path.
Yeah,
And
I would love to
it's
know
a
that.
really simple answer, suffering.
Ooh,
And that that ties in so beautifully with praying with parts, which is this evolution of everything I've studied, and is this offering that has come through me because it is how I have found my healing. Um, a lot of times, so parts work, first of all, like I'm sort of jumping into like my offering
yeah,
rather than
jump,
who I am because it's
jump.
way more interesting
I'm
to
gonna let
me.
you get away with that
Thank you.
though. I mean, well, I'll dial you
Okay,
back.
we'll go
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
So parts work is there are many systems of parts work. It's a psychotherapeutic understanding of our inner multiplicity. Internal family systems is one of the newer parts work models or maps. And in internal family systems, we learn how to build self or soul to part relationship and support our parts who have taken on strategies to protect little Alex and little Amanda.
I can relate.
And so they take on these strategies when we're very young, and then we grow up, they're still behaving in these strategies because they
Yeah,
don't know that things are different. So
yeah,
with internal family systems, it's called a pressure release model. So we go to where it's pressurized and we support rather than try and slay the ego or get rid of that part or whatever, exile something else. We
yeah,
actually support it to update to the fact that, oh, no, no, I'm in the driver's seat now.
yes,
How can I support you to let go of these old strategies? And it's this wonderful map, and I'm way oversimplifying it. But the point that I want to make around praying with parts, because prayer is also central in my life. And what I discovered is that as a praying man, when I would make these big prayers, I would encounter parts that would arise. So I make a big prayer for my life. Parts would arise and have all of these opinions and frustrations and resistances
yeah,
to the prayer. And instead of interfacing with them as something I need to conquer, get over, push out of the way, I've discovered that if I turn towards the parts as the way shower
yeah,
for where I need to bring love,
yeah,
where I need to bring compassion, where I need to bring understanding, not easy,
yeah,
but if I treat them as way showers, they illuminate the next step for the unfoldment of my prayer.
yeah.
So praying with parts is this incredible interplay between parts work, the psychotherapeutic model, and prayer, all of the incredible indigenous wisdom traditions that
Exactly.
I have
Glad you
gathered in
said
my
that.
life.
Because I was just thinking, this is, we have this very colonial mindset about the parts of us that are uncomfortable
Yes.
or slower or
Yep.
sad or in survival programs
Yes.
that seem to be like self-sabotage, but
Right.
they have so much gold in them.
Yes.
And the indigenous approach is there's nothing wrong, but there may be something out of balance or something that needs the attention, that
That's
needs
right.
the love. So I'm so glad that you brought that in because I was
Yeah.
just thinking that. So you read my mind. We don't even
Yeah.
need to interview, just take it away. No, I'm
Let's
just
get
kidding.
in there.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I would love for you to, as I said, I
Yes.
would,
Now
not
I will
too long
follow the
ago,
instructions.
I'm dialing you back. And
Yeah.
could you maybe share by giving an example that is actually your personal journey with the suffering that you mentioned? It's a
Mm-hmm.
simple word,
Mm-hmm.
suffering, but
Woo.
to share just a little bit about your own personal journey of
Yeah.
suffering and how you found the alleviation or this
Yes.
new approach
Thank you.
to take care of it.
I think you know this. I was an opera singer. I was an opera singer for about 15 years on the East Coast. And
I
when I
had
was,
forgotten actually,
when
but
I was,
I was like, I do remember, but
yes.
it was good to hear it again.
When I was 15, um, I discovered opera singing. I heard Franco Corelli, they called him Golden Thighs. He was this 6'4" epic Italian beast of a man. He was on the Italian Olympic rowing team, and he was this amazing opera singer.
Wow.
And I heard him sing Nessun Dorma, which is the like everyone has heard Pavarotti sing it, but until you hear Franco Corelli sing it from the 1970s, you haven't
Okay.
heard anyone
All
sing
right,
it.
it's on my list
Yeah, we'll
now.
listen to it later. We'll put it in the interview notes.
Yes.
And I heard it, and it was the most virile, masculine, powerful sound I'd ever heard in my life. And my whole system was like that. That's what I'm going to do. And so that 15-year-old Alex decided he was going to pursue that.
Yeah.
And I did it. I went full out until I was 30. I did undergrad and grad school for opera singing. I was singing with the Washington Opera in the chorus. I was singing with the Baltimore Opera and the Wolf Trap Opera, and I was doing all the competitions. I was doing the whole thing. Then I was an assistant cantor at this huge synagogue in Maryland. I had a really established career, but I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to be singing the lead roles, not just in the choir, all around the world,
Yeah.
you know? And so I moved to New York to study and apprentice with my teacher, where I was living in this little attic in Weehawken, New Jersey, and traveling on the Lincoln Tunnel, for multiple lessons a week, doing after school daycare for these two boys who would pee in my backseat every day. And it was just like, it was a very humbling phase of my life.
That is suffering.
It was very intense. And about that time, I'm sort of like getting into more of the story of like how I came onto the medicine path. But at that time, my grandparents were living in New Jersey, and I was very close with them. And they both died within 5 weeks of each other. They were
Mm.
married 69 years together. And I was sitting on my grandmother's bed next to her nightstand, and I pulled out, after the funeral, I pulled out these love letters from my grandfather to her from the Korean War. And it
Wow.
was just like, I see your face in the sunshine and it helps me keep going. It was like such old school bedrock
Mhm,
love. And I was
mhm,
engaged at the time. And I realized I don't have that.
mm.
And I ended my relationship, and I called my friend who was on the medicine path, and I was like, hey, you've told me about this thing called Aya something or other. And she's like, yeah, come on out. And I'd never touched a psychedelic. I was very straight edge because in the opera community, it's like an Olympic athlete. You're like constantly training your body. And I flew out, and I sat in 2 nights of ceremony for the first time, and
With
with grandmother.
with grandmother, also known as ayahuasca.
That's right.
It's not a bad word.
It is not a bad word. And it's important for our listeners and everybody to be really choiceful about how and when we use
Oh,
these words of power.
yes.
And so thank you for letting me know that it's safe in this
It's
community to
safe.
speak that way.
Yeah.
Um, and grandmother slit my belly open, and the enormity of trauma that I was unaware of,
Metaphorically.
metaphorically, thank you, poured
For
out at
those who
me,
are
for those
not
who don't know.
familiar
And
with this
she
experience.
totally rebooted my life in that
Mm.
weekend. And I couldn't reorganize myself into that
Mm-hmm.
old life.
Mm-hmm.
I tried really hard. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
You were literally asking for
I
it,
was
right?
begging for it. And then my life just sort of collapsed around me.
Yeah.
And then I moved to California, and then I entered this dark night of the soul where I had no community. no family around me, no career, no purpose, no clear direction.
Yeah.
And during that time, a few teachers sort of grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and were like, "Hey, I see you." My teacher, Don Oscar Miro Quesada Solevo, a Peruvian medicine man. I was in ceremony with him, not with plants. We were training on how to tend an altar. And he was like, "I see you. I remember you.
Mm,
Come walk with me and remember yourself."
mm,
And so I apprenticed with him for many years. And it was, I met people on the path at that time who were pursuing and studying the medicine ways out of curiosity and this impulse to be of service. That is not what got me on the medicine path. I was in so much existential, psychological, emotional pain
yeah.
that I couldn't imagine doing anything but devote myself to healing. And the medicine path uh, swallowed me up.
Yeah.
It just said, "Come on, sweetheart. It's
Mm,
going to be hard." And it was very hard for a
mm.
good decade of struggling in
Because you were
ceremony.
going deep into the all the dark
That's right.
shadow pain that you'd avoided
That's right. And I
up
didn't
until
even,
that point.
zero idea that I was in therapy, but
Hmm.
and not to poo poo therapy, because clearly I'm a devotee of the psychotherapeutic map,
Hmm.
but without prayer, it was um, we were playing healing.
Hmm.
I wasn't actually healing.
Mm.
And then once I met the medicine and I discovered how much I love to pray,
Yeah.
then things took off.
Yeah.
And so I spent the next 14 years since that time apprenticing. And this is the beauty of opera singing. Opera singing taught me what it means to be an apprentice,
Hmm.
because it's an old world art form.
Yeah.
You moved in with your opera singing teacher in the old
Wow.
world in Italy. You lived in the little shack in the back and you were farming, and then you'd take opera sing, and then you'd sing, and then you'd sing locally. And so I had this orientation of what it means to apprentice. And so then when I came to the medicine path, I was like, we use the same words. Oh,
Mm.
maestro, right?
Hmm.
In medicine ceremony, traditional Peruvian
Right.
medicine, maestro, this is my maestro, my teacher.
Yeah.
The same thing in the opera world. The conductor is, oh,
Yeah.
the maestro.
Yeah. Wow.
And so there was this beautiful seamlessness to come in and apprentice in these ways and really give myself over to the medicine path and
Hmm.
study. And this is what I love about the medicine path is there's a lot of talk about appropriation, and it's really important to me to
Yeah.
not appropriate, to not take without permission, to
Uh-huh.
not take this weekend teaching and then make a workshop and make money. Like there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
What's beautiful about the medicine path when it's done well with teachers who are rooted in their ancestral lineage is that we are changed by the study. And so then when we are given permission, we're not going back to the old way of selling my goods and make it's different. We're oriented to the service,
Yeah.
and then we bring that service orientation to the spiritual marketplace where we have to make a living. We have to know how to share of what we have learned so that we can
Yeah.
be of service. But it's a very different frequency than
Yeah.
what I came from in the opera world, which is competition, domination.
Yeah.
All of that energy had to get sort of wrung out of me.
Yeah.
Not that it's completely gone. I'm still a Westerner. I'm still a white dude. But to be able to study and be changed by that which I am studying,
Yeah.
reoriented to the wisdom of the medicine moving through me and directing me, has been the greatest relief of my life.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That brings it home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was really important to share about your personal journey. What inspired you to bring the power of prayer and the internal family systems parts work together? Like, was there a particular aha
Yes,
light bulb going off moment?
for sure.
Would you please
Yeah.
enlighten us
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
that
I
light
love
bulb
this.
moment?
I'm having such a good time. Thank you for your questions. Um, So I was deep in the study of the medicine. I was an apprentice with Don Oscar, where I learned how to tend the Pachacuti Mesa, the altar ground that he passed to me and his students. Then I apprenticed for some years with the Dagara people through my teacher, Mark Bockley. The Dagara people are people from Burkina Faso who have an incredible divination technology that they are sharing so generously through certain Western teachers. So I then apprenticed through that. Meanwhile, my Judaism is sort of like the drumbeat of my spiritual life, as it is runs through my blood. And then I'm trying to remember if I came to the Red Road. The Red Road, for listeners who don't know, is the path of the Lakota, the North American
Mhm.
Lakota community. About that time, as I've been studying the Red Road with my teachers, George Bertelstein and Millard Murphy, I was introduced to internal family systems by a previous partner. And by the grace of God, I snuck into the last training that was offered to non-therapists by
Oh,
internal family systems in a lottery with 10,000 people.
wow.
And I got into that training, and this was about 2.5, 3 years ago. And I got into that training, and I had already been working with an IFS practitioner. But once I started studying the map, it felt like a keystone landed in these archways of spiritual architecture that I had in place.
Hmm.
And then the IFS landed right in the center and the whole system stabilized.
Yeah.
And so then I just started doing what I do, which is pray, parts work, pray, parts work, ceremony, therapy. I was just doing that dance. And about a year and a half ago, I bought the URL, Praying with Parts, because I knew that was coming. I didn't know what it was, but I knew Praying with Parts. I also started like a Facebook group, whatever. I could
Hmm.
feel it coming,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what it was yet. And then about 5, 6 months ago, I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm
Hmm.
doing this. I'm going to do a retreat. I don't even know what the retreat is going to be yet, but I'm going to do it. And as I started planning for it, I discovered that all of these workshops, all of these men's groups, all of these offerings that I had been crafting over years and years and years, it was all funneling into this model of praying with parts. So I didn't create anything new for the workshop. It was all a synthesis of what
Hmm.
had been cooking in me for a
Yeah.
decade.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. And it's just taken off.
I mean, we're at the
We're at the
beginning. We're at the
beginning.
beginning
But
of
I
this
mean, it
story.
sounds like energetically, it's
It
just
is
like
so
it
easeful.
just landed.
Yes.
Could you share a little bit about the stations of prayer, all
Yes.
those pieces that came to you as
Yeah.
you've been praying
That's
it
right.
in and intending to share it, to share a little bit about if somebody were to be interested to reach out, what would you want them to
Yeah.
know about the experience?
Well, you're just asking me all the questions I want to answer. So
That's
here we go.
why we love each other so much. We
Um,
get the psychic.
the psychic cues. Thanks, God.
Yeah.
So amblecha. Amblecha is sometimes it's translated as vision fasting or vision questing. It actually translates, it's a Lakota word, it's a Lakota ceremony that actually translates to crying for a vision. And
Hmm.
it is the ceremony of being put on the hill where a spiritual guide places you on the hill in one spot ceremonially to sit and fast from food and water, traditionally for 4 days.
Yeah.
Chief Norman of Rosebud Reservation is one of my teachers, mentors, guides. I don't know what word he would prefer me to use, but he came out about 2 months ago. This is a month before, this is like 3 or 4 months now, but he came out to put some of us on the hill. Um, and this was the first time that I got to pray with the chanupa that I carry, that I had
Mm.
been carving for a year and a half
Mm.
and had been praying with this stone that I had been gifted. And for those who don't know what Chanupa is the sacred pipe of the Lakota people. As Chief Norman describes it, he said, "This is our covenant with Creator." It's the
Oh.
same thing that the Jews, he said this, that the Jews have with God. They have their covenant. This is our covenant. I've also
Mm.
heard it described not as a tool, but as a person.
Mm.
And so I was
I like that.
preparing to carry this person
Hmm.
for a year and a half. my training in that was about 10 years, but I had the stone, I was working with it, and finally Chief comes out, puts me out on the hill. I have this chanupa in my hands and I'm out there praying, no food and water. And I'm holding it. I'm praying about praying with parts. I have this retreat coming up. And I hear stations of prayer. Growing up in America, everyone's exposed to Christianity. And so I knew of the Stations of the Cross. I knew in the churches that I have sung in a lot of churches, that oftentimes they'll have the Stations of the Cross laid out,
Hmm.
the story of Jesus
Hmm.
through the stations.
Yeah.
And at each station, there's a teaching. And so this Stations of Prayer drops in, and it just opens up, it just blossoms in me that this is a map for uh, walking, praying with parts. And so the stations of prayer are the map of walking a prayer. And it's an ascension spiral. It's not, you don't do it once. It's a constant choosing to stay in prayer. And the first station, we'll see if we want to go through all of them, but we can riff on them together. The first station is the choice point. And the choice point is where you encounter a challenge. I love how George would say, he'd always be like, well, turn that into a prayer.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, you're up against something uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Here's the choice point. Are you going to try and figure it out? Are you going to try and plan your way out of it? Are you going to try and do pros and cons? Are you going to think about it are you going to struggle, or are you going to make a prayer? And it is a wild act of faith to choose to get onto the stations of prayer
Hmm.
rather than the stations of whatever the hell else
Yeah. The
everybody's.
struggle bus.
The struggle bus. I'm going to quote you on that. The struggle bus. And this is not, again, this is why I love parts work. This is not to shame or dismiss intellect.
Yeah.
This is putting in the right place
Yeah.
where the intellect can be of service to the prayer.
Yeah.
And so once we choose to make a prayer, then we enter the preparation phase. This is the second station of prayer. Preparation phase is, okay, well, now I got to get clear about what the heck my prayer is.
Yeah.
I got to prepare. If I'm into the offering technology, which I'm super into, I got to go gather the hibiscus tea, or I got to go get the milk or the honey or the water or the spirits, whatever it is. I got to go gather. I got to go prepare myself to make the prayer. This stage of prayer is often mysterious to Westerners because we don't have a lot of training in offerings,
Yeah.
in being in reciprocity with the earth, in
Yeah.
talking to our ancestors and making an offering to them for that they have the fuel and energy to help us out.
Right.
So the preparation phase is really dependent on what's my training in prayer and how do I know how to prepare myself to make a prayer.
Yeah.
Once you get through the preparation phase, once you're ready to make the prayer, okay, I know what I'm praying about. I mean, it's not a 15 paragraph prayer. It's a prayer, clear and simple. Thanks,
Yeah.
George.
Hmm.
Then I get to the third station. Pray that prayer. Simple. Do the thing. Do the ritual. Pray the prayer. Done. Okay. And so that's the simplest part of the stations of prayer, praying the prayer. The fourth station is tricky. The fourth station is tending a prayer.
Hmm.
Prayers require, I'm talking about big prayers here. We're not talking about like um uh I can't even pull up a small prayer right now, but the big prayers are the prayers that make room for miracles,
Yeah.
that allow for mystery to come and interface with our lives. They
Yeah.
require a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Those are the prayers that I'm talking about with this map.
Yeah.
So when we get to the tending station of prayer, this is a time where we quiet mind. We practice our meditations. We practice listening with the ear of our heart.
Oh.
We water the seedling. We water the seedling of prayer. What does that mean? It means not going back into worrying, strategizing, trying to figure it
Yeah.
out. That in and of
That's a
itself,
tough one.
that's a really tough one.
Brain likes to go back.
Yes, and try and figure out, well, did I make
Hmm.
it right? Did I offer the right thing? Did I did
I'll
it?
just do a backup plan of thinking about it a lot and trying to do the struggle bus
Or struggle
version.
bus or the worry bus.
Yeah, they're the
Worry,
same.
same.
Yeah, they're different seats
Different seats on the
on the
same
struggle
bus.
bus.
That's right. And so how do we support ourselves not to do that? We do things that bring us joy. We
Hmm.
connect with friends, we pet our cat, we go on walks, we connect with nature. We practice, and this is where praying with parts is really, really helpful because those parts, the anxious parts, the doubtful parts, the strategizing parts, the impatient parts, they all deserve and need to be supported in this
Oh,
phase
yeah.
in order to get to station five,
Yeah.
which is the receiving. So this is a crucial part of growing one's faith muscle.
Yeah.
And so we have to, how does my teacher Michael Beckwith say it? Um, Spiritual practice is uh, oh man, I love how he says it, an acquired taste.
Hmm.
Because it can be bitter,
Hmm.
but bitter is good for us.
Yeah.
Bitter is a flavor that we've cut out of our diet mostly, but all the medicines we drink are bitter.
Very much so.
So we learn how to get into the discomfort, to learn how to relax into the discomfort and turn towards gratitude, turn towards
Yeah.
pleasure, turn towards whatever it means for you to water that sapling. Then we get to the juice.
Can
Oh,
I pause you? How do
please,
you know
please.
when you're done with the tending to and ready to be in the receiving phase?
You'll be given an answer.
Could
You,
you give some kind of an example of
yes,
what
I
that would
can.
be like just for brand new
I
people
love it. And
like me
I'm
who,
gonna,
who've never had such a thing happen before?
yeah, right. I know you have. Um, I'm going to use the Praying with Parts retreat as an example.
Yeah.
So I made the choice point. Okay, I'm going to offer this as a prayer. Preparation. Okay, like what am I doing? Where I need to research. I needed to gather all the information that I needed to in order to make a retreat happen. A lot of work, but that's the prayer. I want to put on this retreat. That's my prayer.
Yeah.
Preparation. I made the prayer, blasted it out. I sent telling people about it. I'm having it. I have the little flyer on my altar. I made the prayer, right? Then I'm in the tending 1 week before the retreat. I have two signups. I can't even cover the cost of the land, right? I can't
I've
even
been there.
you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
And so I wake up a week before. I'm like, okay, I need to let it go. Like I don't need to do this retreat in order to prove something to myself. I used to need to force an offering in order to prove I was worthy
But
or
we're
belong.
letting go of that colonialized
Thank you.
mind,
That we are
colonized mind.
colonized mind. And I think they mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I walked out to my altars and prepared myself to have a conversation with God and my ancestors, who I work with often. And I went to speak. I went to tell everybody, y'all, like, thank you so much for the inspiration. And like, I got to put it down. Clearly, it's not the right time. Before I could even get that out of my inner sight, I received an answer. So I was in the tending and then I popped into the receiving in this moment. And the message I received from Creator was, you're going to offer this retreat to whoever shows up and you're going to give them everything you have. That was that was a special moment of full clarity in an instant. Oftentimes, receiving is sort of a drip
Yeah.
or an ooze,
Hmm.
right? And we get the answer and it comes in slowly and we learn how to identify it through practice. This
Yeah.
is a skill. Prayer is a skill. It is not something that we come in, well, actually, kiddos know how to do it, but we're socialized out of it.
Yeah.
And so learning how to hear an answer is a skill. And
It.
we have
Listen,
to
listen to this.
practice. We have to practice um, identifying the somatic sensation of reception
Yeah.
and learn how to get ourselves into the frequency of reception. Abraham Hicks is an amazing teacher on this thread, law of attraction work. So I got an answer. Now, I've been practicing this way for a long time. So what's the last station of
Sixth.
prayer? Sixth
Hmm.
station of prayer? Walking. You pick up the answer and walk it whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. What's the good of praying if you get an answer and you're like, no,
Or you go into a ton of doubt about it.
right.
That's part of the practice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, okay, a ton of doubt comes up. In that moment, I'm going to talk about my life example for a minute.
Yes.
I received that answer and it was profoundly relieving. Oh,
Hmm.
thank God. I don't have to do anything but what I'm instructed to do. I love clear instruction.
Oh,
So
I'm
I
with you.
picked up that answer and I dropped all marketing. I dropped all strategizing and I just turned to the work. Okay, cool. What am I excited to teach? What am I excited to facilitate? The night before the retreat, 6 days later, the sixth person signed up.
Wow.
And one of my buddies reminded me in the Chanupa ceremony the week before, I had prayed for 7 people. I said, please, Creator, I really want 7 people at this retreat. I could have been a little clearer with Creator and said I would like 7 participants, but I did say seven, and there were 7 people in that circle. And
And
so for me, at this stage of my practice, I received the answer, I received instruction, and I there was no more conversation. There was no
hmm.
more strategizing, arguing, any of it. I just went full out into the walking of the prayer.
Yeah.
That is a skill. And I'll just say that again. So when we receive instruction, the practice is then to turn towards the parts that arise, the doubt, the
Yeah.
fear, the worry,
Yeah.
and work with them and help them through love, compassion, listening, and internal family systems mapping,
Yeah.
help them line up with the prayer. Luckily, I've done enough of that at this point where I didn't have to struggle with them anymore. They all jumped right in line because they love the feeling
Yeah.
of daddy leading.
Yeah.
And so when father is in the driver's seat, everybody gets to chill out because they know I'm taking them to a good spot.
Yeah.
And so I just got to go back into, okay, now I'm at another choice point. What do I need to pray about?
Yeah.
Cool.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you for it. That was very helpful to
Yay.
have the personal example, sharing the stations. Is there anything else about the praying with parts experience that you feel would be helpful for those who are, because I'm like, okay, sign me up.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Fortunately, I know how to contact
Yes,
you.
you do. Yes, there's one other main part of the work that is, I think, is really helpful. And this is the distinction between a central prayer and a satellite prayer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you said that, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
what are
I
we talking
definitely
about?
want to hear about that.
So when we're talking about praying with parts and we're using this map, mostly I'm talking about tending a central prayer. Okay, what is a central prayer? A central prayer is a clear and simple prayer with the gravitational force to organize other satellite prayers in my life.
Mm-hmm.
For example, right? I've got a satellite prayer. I want, some people came to the workshop and were like, I really want a husband. Okay, I know that's not a central prayer. I know that's a satellite prayer because what's underneath the longing for partnership is to feel safe, to be happy, to
Mm-hmm.
feel connected, to whatever languaging is true for that person. There was
Yeah.
a person on retreat who brought to the fire struggling with wanting to feel inspiration at work. The relationship is it's hard. It's hard. Which prayer
Yeah.
do I want to choose? And I looked at this man and I said, can I cut through what I'm hearing and just offer you what I hear your central prayer is? And he said, yes, please. And I said, this is a really, really hard prayer. It took me many years to be able to pray this. He said, please give it to me. Give it. I think your prayer is, I want to be a happy man. And he just went silent. And I was like, do you feel how I want to be a happy man organizes everything else, organizes all of those other
Uh-huh.
prayers?
Yeah.
And so then those satellite prayers, we're not worried about them anymore because
That's
I
right.
know that if I tend this central prayer and everything that arises for me to look at in response to making that prayer, those other pieces work themselves out.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And we get to pray them because it's fun.
yeah.
I get to go to ceremony and
Yeah.
pray about
It's
this,
the
my
special
wife.
icing
Yes.
on the central prayer cake.
But the way we pray them is organized
Yeah.
by my commitment to my
Yeah.
central prayer.
Yep.
I caught a really, really powerful central prayer from Michael Beckwith, who runs Agape Church down in LA. In church one time, I love going to church with Michael on Zoom. Everyone should. AgapeLivestream.com. Um, and he had his arms open one Sunday and he was like, Creator, um, Oh, how did he say it? Let me just listen for a moment. Creator, I am available to change anything in my life that thy presence may express itself through and as my life.
Hmm.
That's a central prayer.
Oh,
And so as we learn how to walk a central prayer like that, oh, that's very confronting.
yeah,
It's very confronting. Our parts are going to have a lot to say about it. And instead of treating our parts as a problem
yeah.
or in the way, they are the way showers that we
Hmm.
get to turn towards at each station of that prayer.
Yeah.
And that's a prayer that continues to evolve and ascend and
No
evolve and
doubt.
ascend and evolve.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
That feels beautiful and complete. But I want to say, is there anything else you'd like to share with those who are tuning in?
I want to speak to something that I see in our culture now as medicine work is becoming more and more available. Um, I know a lot of really good people who are serving lots of people medicine. And I am uninterested in saying anything negative about that. I think they're doing great work and I love them and I really respect them. And from what I am being shown with medicine work, the importance of traditionally medicine work was not done in a vacuum. It was done rooted in a web of
Truth.
support.
Hmm.
And so when I when I work with people, and I know you do this also, when I work with people with medicine, I am uh, also helping them in the preparation. Okay, how do you bring a prayer to ceremony? What is it? How do you get clear on a prayer? How do you prepare your system physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically to come and make a prayer? And then you make that big prayer. Well, then what? Then you have to learn how to stabilize and catch what is given so that you can integrate it and walk it.
Hmm.
And this is not a fault of anyone going to ceremony for the first time. This is not something to feel
No.
shame about. This is something for our community to grow together in so that we
Yeah.
learn how to help prepare, pray, and integrate the enormous change and power offered
Yeah.
through a ceremonial way of living.
Yeah. That's the more indigenous way versus the I'm gonna come, get the dose,
Yeah,
walk out and have a different
that's
reality.
right. I wanted that. I wanted that when I started going to ceremony. I want to go to ceremony, have a big cup of medicine, and everything's fixed.
Yeah.
Too bad. That is not how it works.
Right?
The
We're
medicine,
connected to too many other
that is
things.
right. That
It
is
would,
right.
I tell people, like, if you got the big change instantly, it would be the most painful, devastating thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Like, you're too interconnected with
That's
too
right.
many things.
That's right.
The gentler it is, the longer it takes,
Yeah.
the easier it is.
It's like throwing ourselves into a varsity sport when we're not ready for that. It's like that's why we train. I
Right.
talk a lot about
Or
training.
maybe I'm like, I will sing an opera
That's right.
tomorrow.
I can't even do that now. I don't have those chops anymore.
Yeah.
But it's all about, for me, it's about mentorship, like really, really surrounding yourself with teachers and mentors that you trust
Oh.
and watch out for the flashy ones. I like to be flashy, so watch out for me. But like I'm saying, like, like the medicine person that helps you soften
Hmm.
and feel intimate with the material that you're working with, that's a really
Oh.
good medicine person. And that's going to feel uncomfortable. That's how you know it's good way,
Yeah.
you know? So I just want to encourage listeners and anyone who comes across this. And I have a prayer I want to just make for uh, this broadcast
Oh.
and this sharing. And I want to bless up this Blue Rose Temple, this place where I am
Oh.
meeting with my friend Amanda Eloesh and her incredible service path. Like, may everyone who comes in here be available to receive the incredible medicine that you
Mm,
offer, sister, because you
mm.
offer really good medicine. I've been in ceremony with you. It is
Thank you.
really, really helpful. So may
Thank
that
you.
continue to thrive and may
Oh.
more people find themselves drawn here and to your incredible support that you offer before and after ceremony that we have talked about. May that
Mhm.
continue
Oh.
to thrive and flourish. And for everyone listening to this, may this transmission inspire you to turn towards your prayer life with a
Mm,
new
mm.
sense of confidence and
Oh.
capability to pursue your dreams um, in whatever way that works for you. That is my prayer in sharing this. That is my prayer with praying with parts, is that we no longer are afraid. Wait, I got to update that because fear is not a problem.
Yeah.
May we have the courage and care to bring to those scared parts
Mhm.
upon our path with the inspiration and the knowingness that you are capable of transforming your life through your prayer practice.
Oh.
Amen.
And so it is.
That was fun.
Beautiful. How can people connect with you who are like, I got to do this?
Yay.
They're like me. I got to do this. I got to get me some more of Alex.
Let's do it. Two ways. One is prayingwithparts.com, baby,
Prayingwithparts.com.
and or alexanderkugler.com.
ALEXANDERKUGLER
There
dot
it is.
com.
Praying with parts is a little easier.
And wherever you are listening or tuning in, these links will also be provided.
Amanda, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to express myself. I feel so grateful for your questions and the quality of your listening and your generosity in bringing me over here
Mhm.
today. Like, I can't do this if I don't feel drawn forward. And so it
Yeah.
just came forward so easily.
Hmm.
I just want to thank you for blessing up my path in this way.
Well, thank you for blessing up my path by
Mm,
being, you're more than just a friend, brother, dear spirit brother,
yeah.
and thank you for the vision that just popped in that was like, you got to interview Alex.
Yeah.
I don't know about what, just do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm glad this was beautiful. I feel very inspired.
Yay.
I can't imagine anybody tuning in and not taking away some serious gold from
Yay.
this. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the Blue Rose. Thank you, Creator, for the inspiration. And thank you to you for tuning in and honoring your prayer enough to listen and take it forward, whatever way, even if it's not praying with parts, but to really know that who you are and the prayer that you hold in your heart is so important. And just knowing that
Mm,
can be enough to get you to wherever it is you need to be in the next step of your life. So
amen.
thank you for tuning in. Please share it with other people who you think might need to hear this. And who knows what's next, but
You
you'll
know what?
find out with us. Stay tuned.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, until we get to connect again, may the source be with you.
Amen.